Hi, my name is Brittany Rose Green, former marriage and family therapist, relationship coach and healer, and I help couples and singles heal their relationship with relationships. Most of which, people come from me from wounded backgrounds or trauma backgrounds, and um, and so that's what I do. That's a little bit about what I do. And today I want to talk about becoming relationship goals. Hashtag relationship goals. Right? So exciting. I'll be honest, this is my first live on YouTube. I've never done a live on YouTube before. I typically have gone live or I go live on my Instagram handle, which is at Brittany Rose Green. Or I go live in my Facebook community, which I have a free community called the Collaborative Healing Spot. And yeah, that's where I typically am. So this is like the first time I've ever gone live on YouTube. And so, but what I want to talk about today, I think is actually something that is it's pretty funny to me because the more the more that I observe the relationships of my clients, the relationships of my friends, even my own relationship, the more that I'm honest with even my own relationship, I start to wonder like how much of these hashtag relationship goals that we're trying to model our life after, how much of that reality are people really considering when they are trying to create a substantial and lifelong relationship, a partnership, something that, really stands the test of time, that can weather the storm, where you lean in to the discomfort of what life brings together and solve problems as a unit. And I believe that these relationship goals, these idealistic versions of what we see on social media are so extremely misleading to the untrained eye, I would say. If you've never found or been in a relationship where you felt like you were truly loved, or where you felt like like there wasn't like toxic energy between the two of you, or because I know a lot of people have never really feel like they've been loved well. A lot of the women who come into my communities, I think it's a really high percentage, like 80%. And these are women from all walks of life, not just, young girls, young women. This is like women of all walks of life who have not experienced love in its core, love in its totality and its truth. And it's kind of I mean, it's shocking, really. It's surprising. Um, and because of that, I think the social media world can get really confusing when you're trying to model your love life after something that you see on the internet, which is only one version of the truth. It's not even the whole picture. I mean, even I am, I guess, a proponent of it as well, because on my social media page, mostly it's about me and it's about, healing and the healing that I've done and the healing that I help people work through. But when I post pictures of me and my husband, it's typically of us smiling or happy or doing something fun together. I'm not posting pictures of us in the middle of a fight. That's not when I decide to like, hang on, honey, let me like take a picture of us in the middle of this fight, and so I can post on social media and let people see the reality of what it means to be in relationship. The difficult aspects of what it means to be in partnership. And so I think we get into this whole reality versus expectation situation. And I actually saw something really fascinating recently. And this guy was explaining how our dating culture right now actually sets us up for divorce, because we are so used to just moving on to the next thing, moving on to the next thing. It's easy to let something go. We can just get something different, if we choose to. And that actually sets our brain up for um like it's conditioning us to believe that divorce is an option and that it's easy. And not all divorces are the same, right? But I do believe that in a lot of relationships, especially when I'm working with couples, married couples, that divorce, it's easy to walk away because there isn't this like true reality or true grasp or expectation that relationship is not easy by any means through any stretch of the imagination. It is going to stretch you. It is going to completely break you open to yourself so that you can see yourself from a different lens because your partner is mirroring back to you like who you really are. You know what really what I mean, this goes so deep. This would be a conversation that we'd probably have to have on a different chat than this specific one. But because of this, uh, what we see in the media and what we see on social isn't reality. It's not all that there is. It's not it's not the whole picture. And so, I almost feel like we are in this culture. It's like if I didn't even share it, does it even exist? I feel like some people are interested in getting relationships now for the status of being in relationship, especially right now during cuffing season, where people don't want to go through the holidays alone. And it's almost like it'd be easier, just to kind of get in relationship, just to get in one without having the understanding of what that means. And so, there are a couple questions I think would be really helpful for you to think about, um, as you're navigating your desire to be in relationship and in partnership. And one is, do you think a relationship, um, do you think about getting in a relationship for what you can do with that person? Like all the things that you can do, all the travel that you can have, all the fun that you can have? Or do you think about the ways that it's going to like grow you, the way that you're going to be changed by the relationship? Relationships are going to change us. And, I think if you find the right partnership, you'll obviously change for the better. When you're in an unhealthy partnership, you tend to lose aspects of yourself, and dim your light, which is not anything that I want you to subscribe to. But if you have this expectation that being in relationship, especially if you are one who is trying to model your life after somebody you see on social media, then you're gonna get caught in the crosshairs. You're gonna like the reality is gonna set in and you're gonna be like, this is not what I signed up for. Like, I don't understand why my relationship looks like this. And then jealousy and like comparing yourself to others. And then it just like becomes this never-ending spiral down of unfulfilled wishes, unfulfilled promises, unfulfilled desires. And it just makes you feel really hopeless about the whole situation. It's like, this is not what I saw. This is not what I want. I don't understand how I'm in this and why. And it's because your expectations of what the relationship was supposed to be were surface. They weren't deep enough to really become try and true relationship goals. And tried and true relationship goals to me are relationships that can weather the storm, relationships that have depth and meaning, relationships that have seen each other at each other's worst and still choose one another because the relationship itself is such a strong foundation for the ebbs and flows that come with life and growth and maturity and all of these things. The greatest source of healing and the greatest source of maturity that I experienced was in my relationship to my husband. And there's still so far for us to go. So I can't even pretend that I have it all figured out. I promise you I don't. I have barely even the surface figured out. I've just discovered from my experience being a marriage and family therapist and also from serving like hundreds of people over the course of my career that relationships have a very particular dynamic that will either destroy someone or completely like help them shine the greatest version of themselves, a version of themselves they didn't even knew existed until they found that partnership. And so that's a lot of what I do. I help people discover who they are at their core. So that way, when they get into a partnership, they can thrive and become even a greater version of that core essence in the partnership, that the partnership mirrors back to them everything that they know that they already are, but in a highlighted way. But when we look at social media, we only see these picture perfect images of what relationship and love is supposed to look like. And yes, there's snuggles and there are kisses and there's like passion and holding hands and travel and all of those things. Of course, that's a huge part of it. Like why would you not want that experience? And then there's the other stuff that really rarely ever gets seen. I've seen a few relationship accounts that try to show the other side, but it's very, very rare, very, very rare. And I just don't want people to get caught up in the expectation of what a relationship is supposed to be, because when you fall in love with the expectation of someone or something, you are going to be let down because our reality rarely ever matches this expectation. And when we're manifesting, it's the same thing too. Like we have to be okay with the manifestation not coming through. Like we have to be good no matter if the manifestation shows up at all. And then when we do that, we release resistance. And then the manifestation comes in and it's better than what we could have ever expected. It's better than our deepest desire and our deepest longing. It's like, whoa, I had no idea I could even ask for that kind of thing. When you really get into manifesting a healthy partnership and becoming relationship goals, the way that my partner has held space for me in the darkest times of my life were something I didn't even know to ask for, right? I just knew going into this, because I had served so many couples for so long already, that like, okay, I need to be more realistic about my expectations for relationship. And I know it's not all those beautiful Instagram pictures. Like I just know that. So can I also hold space for my realistic expectations and also the fun? Like, can I have both? And the answer is yes, you absolutely can. You know, another question I want you to think of is like, do you live your life currently just to kind of show it off? I know I can fall into that category as well too, where I'll be doing well, my husband and I will be going out, or we'll go to a con. I think this happened. Well, we were in Boston like a couple weeks ago, going to a concert, and I was like, "Stop! We got to take a picture!" And and part of me is like, it's to show people that we're having fun together, and it's for my business and like all the thing. But then like also there's another part of me that just like wants to show it off a little, right? If I'm like really honest with myself, part of me wants to show it off. But like, when did I stop living just to live? You know that saying, like, if it didn't get shared or posted, then it doesn't exist. Like, when did that become my reality? When was that like my normal? And like, how do I stop that? That's addiction, right? That's straight up addiction. And we know that these devices are geared to make us addicted to them. Look at all these little pings I have, right? Like, oh my gosh, every time a ping goes off, I look, I look, I look, I look. And especially when we share a photo of ourselves, it's like relationship goals or like what I want. And when I even say relationship goals, I mean if you're single too and living your best fucking life, that also is relationship goals to me, right? You don't have to be in partnership to have relationship goals. Relationship goals could be a relationship with yourself that is just yummy and juicy and blah blah blah. But if you're only doing it to show on social media, then the goal has actually not been met. It'll never get met because there will always be more to show, more to prove, more worthiness to experience and get validated by external sources. And that's why this conversation, when we're talking about becoming relationship goals, it's actually like, when was the last time you detached yourself from social media? When was the last time you wanted to cleanse? When was the last time that you actually thought about what would my relationships be like if I wasn't on a platform like this? If social media wasn't a thing that I felt like I had to subscribe to? Like, the greatest gift to me about social media is that I have an opportunity to talk to people who are not in my immediate sphere, people like you who are watching this or watching the replay, people who are my friends from like lifetimes ago who live in completely different states, countries, like, and staying connected. But it was not meant, I mean, who knows what it was really meant for, but the way that I would assume that the use originally was not meant to just stop living our lives, to just stop actually showing up in our day to day and like, taking inventory about what's going on around us, like what's actually happening in this present moment versus what's going on with Susan over in Canada. I don't even know Susan, but I'm curious about what she's doing, right? Like, I want to know. Like, and so here we have opportunity to grow in relationship with the people like around us, and we're more concerned with our online family, with our online presence, with whether or not people see what we're doing, if what we're doing is good enough for people to like it, if what we're doing is good enough for people to validate our us existing. So now social media has become a form of our existence. And again, I appreciate social media. Social media has given me so many opportunities to grow my business and to reach people all around the world, to share my message all around the world, to connect with and encourage and support men and women and families all around the world. Like, I am so honored. But what it will not do is help me deepen my connections with the people who are actually in my life physically. Like, how often do you go? And when I talk about relationships, I'm sorry, like, keep kind of skipping around, but like when I talk about relationships, I'm talking about relationships, right? All relationships, relationships with our families, with our peers, with our neighbors, with our partners, our husbands, whatever, our wives. Like, all of these relationships matter, but they get diluted. That's a good word. They get diluted when we are using social media in the wrong ways, when we're forgetting that we have people around us who need us to be present. And I'm telling you this because it's a message I also needed to remind myself as well. It was something that was becoming so apparently clear. It's like, when the hell did I stop like actually living my life, not to just like make sure that everybody saw it? Like, if people don't see it, I still exist. Just because you don't see me doesn't mean I'm not here. I'm still here. I'm still here. I have a voice. I have big hair. I have a big voice, and I'm loud, and I'm here, and I'm present. People around me know who I am. I'm here, right? Just because somebody in, wherever, Bali, doesn't know about who I am doesn't mean that my existence or my worth is diminished. But that's what happens when we use this expectation versus reality sort of theory, and we see all these beautiful relationships and how many likes they're getting and how these couples are just like so cute and so amazing and people love them and blah blah blah, and it makes us feel as though our relationships are not worthy, our relationships are not strong enough. Us fighting and solving our problems is actually unhealthy when we see these relationships that like never fight, right? Because they're on social media and it's like one-sided. Fighting is healthy, fighting is good. The way that you fight actually determines a lot about your relationship. And if you want to learn more about that, you sign up for a free session and we can talk more about that. But there's so many aspects that we fail to consider when we are just utilizing social media as our like model example for what love is supposed to look like. So I invite you to think about some of those questions. I posted the questions in the comment section, or like below the description section below. And I want you to think about like, what would life be like if you just kind of took and removed social media out of the equation for a little bit? How do you think your relationships would grow? How do you think your conversations would deepen? Um, what do you think intimacy would be like for you? And I think, maybe even taking a little bit of a pause or a break from it if you can might be helpful if you feel like you're like, oh gosh, this message is really speaking to me. It's something that I feel like. Take a break for like a week. It's like not even that long. It'll feel like a really long time when you're so used to looking at it. But after like the first day or two, like you won't even feel the pull for it anymore. But just take a week off, right? And see if you can deepen connections around you. Turn your phone on like airplane mode and only use it, oh God forbid, for like phone calls, maybe even a little texting here and there, right? Like, but just like actually connecting with people because connection comes from actually connecting. And I've made beautiful relationships and beautiful connections on the internet. My business partner is a connection that I made on the internet, but I talk to her in real life. Actually, we see each other in real life. She lives on the other side of the country, but we still have seen each other and connected and like gone to dinner and stuff like that in real life. So, taking your connections and allowing them to flourish off of social media. If you slide into someone's DMs, make sure you say, "Hey, can we go get some coffee next?" Like in real life, and actually build a relationship, build a connection with someone, and that is what's going to be real hashtag relationship goals. Okay. So, thank you for spending time with me today. Whether or not you showed up live, thank you. Whether or not you decided to watch the replay, thank you as well. If you're curious about some of the work that I do, just go to my Instagram handle at Brittany Rose Green or click my website and just peruse, learn a little bit more. There's so many opportunities for you to dig a little deeper. Subscribe to my channel. There's tons of videos on here for you. There's so much information out there. I feel like it can be a little overwhelming, but if you're vibing with who I am, then just keep learning more. Just keep learning more and reach out to me if you have any questions. Thanks so much for your time.